Greetings! So in today's video, I will be taking a look at this beautiful box of colored pencils from Woomer. This is my third product from Woomer that I'm reviewing. I did a mini watercolor travel palette. I did a slightly larger watercolor travel palette, and I really liked them. So when Woomer reached out to me to ask if I wanted to try out their colored pencils, I was excited because I've been getting back into colored pencils and sort of combining this medium with watercolor. So I thought this was a very timely offer, and I was excited to try these out. Again, I really like Woomer's branding, which is, I recognize a bias, but their logo is a cat. They have a lot of cat images in their branding, so of course it's gonna, vibe with me. So this set of pencils come in a beautiful metal orange box. You have this cardboard sleeve on it, and as you can see, it has an illustration of a cat. Now, I can't say if this is a real illustration or AI, which nowadays is very difficult to do, mind you. And in the back, you have a bit more information about the set. So you have all the colors that are listed. There's 72 colors, or as they say, 72 saturates colors, probably saturated. So they say these are easy to blend. They have a 3.8 millimeter soft core. They have break-resistant leads, a wide range of colors, and richly saturated pigments. I quite like this tin for the pencils, I gotta say. There's hinges here in the back, and you can open it up like this. Oh, and the lid, we have a swatch card. Oh, that's lovely. I really like when there's a swatch card included for sets like this, because it means that the swatch card is made to fit in the set, so you can keep everything together. So this is the first tray of colors, and I'm guessing that under here we have a second tray of colors. Now, the tray itself is quite flimsy. As you can see, it didn't really survive transit, but I'll see what I can do. Usually I can sort of salvage this with a bit of washi tape. If we look at one of the pencils, this is what they look like. You have the color code here. It says made in China, the brand Woomer, their little cat logo, and color pencil. The end of the pencil is lacquered over. There's a protection, so your lead won't escape by the back of the pencil. We turn it around. We have a barcode, another code in numbers, possibly just the same, like the equivalency of the barcode, but in numbers. We have 4 little pluses, color number WP110, pink matter. So WP110 is a good reference point with the chart. Pink matter is the actual name of the color, and then the pluses are the light fastness rating. It goes from 0 to 5. I'll show you. So this is a pretty thorough rating system. Have yet to see just how much of it they use. Sometimes you get sets or you get art supplies that have a really precise rating for a characteristics, but turns out that all the colors are using up only 2 or 3 of the ratings out there, so we'll have to see. It seems like a really good range of colors at a glance. You have a wide selection of yellows, moving on to some pinks here, some peachy colors, a couple of oranges, and magenta and reds, and then we get to the blues, and then I think this is like the purples, a bunch of greens, a bunch of earth colors, some grayscale and black. We have a white in the beginning. So I feel like this is a really interesting array, but I'll be able to say after I've swatched all of these. And welcome back! I've done all the work. This is the swatches. I think if I had to make a comment on this swatch sheet, I really like it. I like that all the info's on it, but I think it would have been fun to have slightly bigger squares or rectangles for testing out the pencils. It has a bit of a texture, which you can see when I tried to do a sort of gradient, but overall, these are the 72 colors that are included in the set. As you guys know, I am not very experienced with color pencils. More of a beginner with them, really. So I can't really say for sure, but to me, to my beginner's eyes, this seems to be a nice selection of colors. They were really easy to use. They were nice and smooth, basically. And yeah, it was fun to fill up this chart. Then what I did, because of my setup and the space that I have available, I tend to keep my color pencils in recycled jars that I salvage from the recycling bin, and I group them up in very general hues. So here is all yellows, oranges, red, pinks. I have one that's purple blue, one that's green, and the other one is neutral and browns. I'm not saying that's a very thought out way of doing this. It's just what I quickly did to set them up, and I can really easily like pick them up and put them back in. It is a bit easier for me to use this way because the big trays with the big palettes, they're very convenient for seeing all the colors really well and finding a color quickly, but they take up a lot of space and my desk is really tiny, so this is what I tend to do. I kept these apart from my other color pencils for the sake of this review, but eventually I might just put them all together with the other pencils that I have. Another little thing that I wanted to try out was to swatch these on black paper. So I have this nice little black paper sketchbook from C. White of Brighton. I set up this grid quickly and just tested out the pencils on it. It is really interesting to me to see these on dark paper, again, because like I said, I am not all that familiar with this medium. So to be able to compare how the color looks on white paper and then on black paper, you know, if you put watercolor on black paper, at least half the time you won't see anything. The paint is transparent. Whereas here, this is more of an opaque medium, really. I don't think there's any color in there that you could call transparent. So that was super interesting to do as well. Then what I wanted to do was a little demo piece. There is one feature of color pencils that I haven't really found the good work pipeline for, and it's this texture thing. If you paint with watercolor, you are used to really smooth and even flat colors, ideally. Color pencils, you don't have like that flat, even color backdrop if you just use the pencil. So what I did, I wanted to use my little watercolor paint set from Woomer. This one here, it's a fun little travel palette. I know they're more of a sort of student range or grade of paint, but they are really fun to use and I love a lot of these colors. So I took this out and I did a first pass on my illustration with these to set up this background color. I remembered to take some photos of it, so I'll show these. I did a flat layer knowing that I was gonna work with the pencils over it after. So I kept that in mind as I did all my painting part of this illustration, and it's gonna look quite incomplete when I'm done with the painting part, but that's intentional because the idea is to just have that as a base and then to layer the color pencil on top. This is the watercolor paper that I use. It is Arches Hot Press, so it is smooth watercolor paper, but you can see that it's the off-white or the natural paper color. And then this is the illustration that I did. And I made the little frame so that you wouldn't see all the messiness on the edges of this paper. But yeah, so that's what I ended up with. What I really enjoyed of this process was that the colors that are in the color pencil set, every time I had a color in mind and I would look at the chart here, I was able to find the color that I had in mind. So it was really interesting. I was thinking, oh, I would like a bit of a cobalt teal or, you know, cyan kind of color. And then I look up and you have cobalt teal blue. That is exactly the color I had in mind. Even the name is right. And then I did like this sort of gradient, and I was able to, by referencing this swatch sheet, to find all the colors that I wanted. This is just the Woomer pencil. I didn't use any other pencil, but every time I would have an idea in mind, I was able to find what I was looking for on here, which was really cool. I thought the pencils worked out really well over the watercolor. There's still a lot of texture going on, which is something that I guess I'll have to be okay with at some point. But truly, like, even with my experience that's very limited, I felt like I didn't struggle to make the gradients that I wanted in the sky and to sort of have the opacity that I wanted, to do some little touches on the rocks, and everything that I was trying to do in my creative process, I was able to just grab one of the color pencil and it worked out the way I wanted. So that was super interesting. I guess for me, the sort of next goal that I would kind of set myself, aside from just practice, is to find a paper that is possibly even smoother, if that's a thing, just to test it out, to perhaps be a bit more familiar with how the pencils look on different smoothness of paper, or just to get a bit more experience with these. I think it would help. It certainly would not hurt. So what I think of these overall, it makes for a very brief sort of review part of videos when everything works out well, and I feel this is the case with these pencils. They have beautiful colors, they are very easy to use, good vibrancy, good color payoff in my opinion. These are also very affordable, which is something to keep in mind as well. I haven't seen any tests for light fastness, but as a general rule for myself, unless it is part of the selling features of pencils, like when light fast is in the name, I don't fully expect colored pencils to be light fast. as a general rule for myself, I don't expect any medium to be light fast unless they tell me it is. So in this case, there is a light fastness rating on the chart, and I feel like it makes sense that some colors like pinks would have a 3, which is, you know, light fast according to this rating system. And there's really nothing that's less light fast or limited light fastness, or not light fast, because there's also 0. With all medium, not just pencils, but watercolor too, sometimes I just like translocate some of these ratings. And I know that pinks tend to be not very light fast. So the fact that they're the lower ratings on this makes sense to me. And I still would expect them to fade more than just being light fast. Of course, that's under really harsh testing circumstances, like having it in a window in direct sunlight with no protection whatsoever, no UV glass protecting the colors, which is also not how you would display artwork. So at the same time, you know, it's good to know, but it's also good to keep in mind that the way the light fastness is tested is quite often not a good representation of how artwork is gonna be exposed on a wall, basically. I was checking out this set on the website and I realized that you can buy these pencils open stock, and I think that's particularly awesome. My issue usually with any kind of color pencil set is that you get the set and then you use up your favorite colors, and for a lot of them you cannot buy singles or open stock. You cannot buy one pencil or two of the color you like the most. But I saw that Woomer offers the pencils open stock on their website, and they're very affordable as well. So I thought this was worth mentioning and showcasing because I really like this idea, and I really hope that more brands, more companies, or more products are available open stock as well as in sets. But yeah, I think these are really good. I'm excited to add these to my other pencils. I feel like they will all complement each other really well. So far, I'm very happy with everything I've tested from Woomer. I felt like all of their supplies that I've tried are really fun. These are really good. The paints are super fun to use. There's a lot of colors in here that I know that the set is not the focus of this review, but again, just quickly, like even with these, there's a bunch of colors that I really, really like. And then here, same. I like all of these. There's a couple of favorites in there, but all of them I think are really nice. You got all your bases covered, white, black, which I think is perhaps a bit more useful in an opaque medium. You have magenta, red, range of yellows, big range of blues, a lot of secondary colors and earth colors, and then neutrals. You can't mix these as easily as you would watercolor, but with proper layering and being extra careful about the pressure you put and how you layer the color, I feel like you can do a lot with these. I am very excited to try these some more. That's it for my review of the set. I'll have all the links and more info in the description. Make sure to check that out if you want to learn a bit more about these. Thank you to Woomer for sending me these pencils to try out. It is much appreciated as I am currently trying to explore these a bit more, so I really enjoyed having this opportunity. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've tried these and what was your impression, and we will see each other in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.